Hello, everybody, and welcome to a long awaited episode 3 of my Fantasy Fight series here on YouTube, where I pin together two characters from different fictional uses, whether it be from comic books, movies, video games, television, etc., and pin them and match them up to see who would come down a victor between these two characters. For episode 3, I decided to give you guys a little bit savory pre-Christmas gift. I pinned together two of the strongest godlike characters from their one of the strongest. I can't even talk straight. I pinned together two of the strongest godlike characters in all of comics of fiction up against each other to see which one of these two that I think, or you, and of course you think, would come out a victor. Today I have Orion, the Dog of War, the son of Darkseid, versus the son of Odin and the new All-Father of Asgard, Thor Odinson, the mighty Thor from Marvel Comics. Be right back. I am so sorry about that, everybody. But I have Orion from DC Comics versus Thor from the Marvel Comics version of Thor. So without further ado, let's get this bitch started. Orion was created by the legend himself, Jack the King Kirby, and made his first appearance in the very first issue of The New Gods, way back in the 1970s. And his origin and backstory are as follows. He is the son of Darkseid and I believe either his second or third wife, Tigra, or Tigra, whatever how you pronounce her name. Anyway, for many, many years, the godlike planets of New Genesis, which is basically a planet version of heaven, if you want to think about it, and Apocalypse, which is basically a planet full of hell and torture, have been in constant conflict for like ever. So one day, the rulers of the planets, Darkseid and Highfather, decided to put an end to the bloodshed by exchanging sons. Darkseid gave Highfather his son Orion. Highfather gave his son Scott-Free, who would eventually become Mr. Miracle, the greatest escape artist in the DC universe, the Darkseid. Now, while Scott-Free will endure a life of hell and torture and suffering on Apocalypse, although he would eventually escape and go to Earth and become Mr. Miracle, but that's another story. Orion would be a bit of an outcast because, like his father Darkseid, he inherited all of his hatred for living things in the form of berserker rage, or in this case, an apocalyptic atavism, which I'll explain when I get into his powers and abilities. So Orion developed a berserker rage, which was the form of inheritance of inheriting of Darkseid's hatred for all living things. However, unlike his father, Darkseid, Orion lacked control over it. So to help him control, Highfather and his people gave Orion a Mather box, which can help him calm him down, help him be more civil, more calm, more level-headed, that sort of nature. Of course, due to Darkseid's villainous nature, he would continue as an evil endeavors of the anti-life equation. Of course, Highfather, along with Darkseid's own son, Orion, would help go up against Darkseid's endeavors. And for many, many years, Orion would become known as the Dog of War, as well as New Genesis' greatest and fiercest warrior of all time. Orion has actually one of the many people that has proven capable of going toe-to-toe against Darkseid without any outside help, and is considered to be one of the strongest and one of the most powerful beings in the DC Comics franchise, but I'll get into that once I talk about his powers and abilities. At one point in time, Orion, along with Big Barda and Scott-Free, and Scott-Free, they will become temporary. They will become members of the Justice League, although a bit temporary, but pretty interesting members, if I don't say so myself. Now let's get into his powers and abilities. Furthermore, like every new god, they have a very interesting physiology. Um, the reason why the new gods have an interesting physiology because their kind have evolved due to close proximity to the source wall, a primeval energy believed to be one of the ultimate foundations of the universal expression of energy, along with the superior technology into beings of genetic stability and evolutionary perfection. While they are stronger, faster, and smarter than Homo sapiens, because of this, they are definitely stronger, faster, and smarter than Homo sapiens, aka us humans, despite their resemblance to us. They have they are functionally immortal. I wouldn't say they are virtually immortal, but they are functionally immortal. Now let's get into the nitty gritty, their powers and abilities. Their other powers and ability sets. Excuse me, I'm going all over the place here. Orion is one of the strongest beings in the DC Comics franchise. His strength has been said to be unmeasured and said to be equal to not only his father Darkseid, but to even that of Superman. As a matter of fact, Orion has been shown to be able to defeat Darkseid in a pinch battle and has held his own against the likes of other major powers, including Superman, who I mentioned earlier, Black Adam, Martian Manhunter, Doomsday, Captain Atom, Mantis, and even Wonder Woman. This means this man can lift in excess of 100 tons effortlessly. He is strong enough to knock out his stepfather Calabac with one blow, break through Green Lantern constructs, punch his way through an entire army. He was able to lift an aircraft carrier and use it as a blunt object. He even made Superman bleed a couple of times with his punches. Manhandle Al Jordan 3 times in 3 consecutive characters like paper. Excuse me. And even keep the extremely powerful old god Seiva from crushing him with his bare hands. So right off the bat, Orion is a major, major powerhouse. Next up, we got invulnerability. I mean, this guy was able to survive having a part of a city block dropped on him, only to shrug it off without suffering any harm or injury. He survived Apocalypse spawn energy emitting 1,000 atomic bombs per minute, and also the gravity of Mogo, which restrained hundreds of lanterns of all spectrums with little effort. He is nearly unstoppable on Earth, as there is no earthly substance known in existence that can resist or affect his power. Though beings of comparable or greater power or barriers gaining their power from the source will have been shown to stop him at some point. He's also resistant to most penetrative forms of damage, such as bullets, laser strikes, apocalyptic fire, talent bombardment, and to a lesser extent, radion, which is basically the new god's version of kryptonite. He has immense superhuman stamina. He does not fatigue easily, as he has shown immense endurance while fighting nonstop against his father Darkseid. He has pretty impressive levels of superhuman speed. He is capable of incredible feats of locomotion. For brief sprints, his speed is said to be somewhat on par with either Superman or Wonder Woman. He does have enhanced senses. He does have incredible sensory awareness, even when he has been blinded at one point. His senses of sight, touch, taste, smell, and hearing are much greater than that of a human being. He has incredible superhuman reflexes, quick enough to zip between apocalyptic laser fire while on fight, and sharp enough to snatch bullets out of the air long before they can reach him. He also has pretty impressive levels of superhuman agility. He's able to dodge laser fire, catch bullets barehanded, jump and move faster than the greatest human athlete, and possess some uncanny amount of reflexes. I have no idea. Now, he also has a pretty impressive healing factor, as he was able to heal from multiple or severe injuries. However, depending on the injury, if it's more serious, you can use the mother box to heal him, even once the problem with more energy to continue fighting, helping, or living. And as the new god, he has immunity to disease. He has immunity to all kinds of diseases due to being a new god. Despotelis couldn't affect one of the new gods because their biology allowing them immunity to disease. Now let's get into his berserker rage, which can come in form of apocalyptic activism. Since he was an infant, Orion's true nature formed him in bursts of rage that seemingly increases his power, and unwillingly rises anytime he is enraged or frustrated. Basically, similar to like the Hulk, he can tend to get stronger within his rage. Now let's get into the Astro Force before I get into his abilities. While his father inherits the Omega effect, Orion has inherited the Astro Force. Orion is able to harness an interdimensional energy known as the Astro Force, also known as the Wrath of the Source. It is an energy powerful enough to send Starro into shock, destroy shift planets, rock solar systems, and even contain universe-destroying forces. Given to him by High Father of New Genesis and equaled only by the Omega Force under Darkseid's control. While Orion is a conduit of the Astro Force, he can use the Astro Harness or his wristband as a valve, which he can use to project energy. He used the Astro Force primarily as a weapon through he has utilized it for a slew of recreational purposes. Through the Astro Force, Orion has energy manipulation. This cosmological force has enabled Orion to manipulate most of any, if not and all, forms of energy for multitudinous purposes. Once shown, he could use to create an energy shield powerful enough to deflect Darkseid's Omega effect. It should be noted that Darkseid wanted this to happen. However, when amped with the anti-life and Astro Force, the Astro Force held up for Orion, so it might be a legitimate counter. He primarily uses it as conjunction with its Astro Harness to better focus and augment these energies, but he himself can utilize it to eviscerate most anything he chooses to turn the Force on. The blast is so potent that he can even stagger an amp Superman, sending him halfway across the Earth in one-shot firestorm. He also has matter manipulation. More than once, Orion has used the Astro Force to control and alternate matter however he sees fit. He can arrange his civilian clothing in the New Genesis garb, restore his broken Astro Bands, as well as the Astro Harness itself whenever broken, and restore his eyesight by physically transplanting those of another's into his own sockets. Power augmentation. All can use the Astro Energy to enhance itself and its other abilities well beyond the norm for him. When revived by High Father in the 30th century, still terribly weakened, Orion Darkseid's fight nearly destroyed the planet. Element suppression. He used to suppress pain, even pain induced by his brother Catabax's Beta Club. He can do reality restoration, size alteration. For example, reality restoration. He used the Astro Force to undo a twisted reality warp done by the Source itself. An example of size alteration, he can voluntarily increase his size and mass to incredible proportions. He can somehow use it for flight. And immutability shielding. On more than a few occasions, Orion has utilized the Astro Forces in order to give himself resilience and protection against lethal contingents, such as the life-absorbing properties of the Morrow Box, which can drain planets dry. He can also use it to break a stasis field he's trapped in, resist the elemental transportation by Slag of the Deep Six. Now, hold on one second, everybody. I am so sorry. As for his abilities, he's highly advanced in hand-to-hand combat due to the fact that he is a highly trained and highly experienced and highly successful warrior, after all. He is one of New Genesis' finest warriors, capable of going toe-to-toe against Superman and other Kryptonians, Olympian gods, and even overwhelm an entire Lantern Corps. He also has expertise in leadership. As the son of High Father, Orion is hailed and respected among all of New Genesis as a capable leader, being entrusted with the command of the entire planet's military forces for his ability to inspire loyalty even in dire situations. And he has expertise in astronautics. Orion is skilled in the use of his Astro Harness and can nimbly maneuver with it in space and planetary atmosphere. Now for his equipment. Speaking of his Astro Harness, it is a multi-person transport platform that is technology extension of Orion himself. It grants him access to abilities Orion alone doesn't possess. The harness also seems to harbor a sentience of its own and is freely capable of mentally communicating with Orion. Interstellar travel. This device is capable of moving around through space and across pan-galactic distances without harm or threat of exposure. Boom tube generation. The astro harness can create a boom tubes for Orion to travel to any location in the multiverse. Menergy blast. It can fire beams of energy. Orion is capable of controlling the beam's intensity, making them harmless to leave the target unscratched. To destructive concentrated blast, it can pierce its enemy. And last but not least, galactic tracking. It can analyze DNA from a small sample and track the source across distances. He also has a mother box, which can also help calm him down. It can also link him to the minds of others and locate the subject's whereabouts anywhere they are. And can even play psychic bursts to prevent foreign influences in anyone's psyche. So that takes care of Orion. Now let's get to Thor, the Marvel Comics version. Thor Odinson made his very first appearance in the Marvel Comics franchise in Journey into Mystery. Hold on one second, everybody. I'm trying to make sure I get the issue correctly. In Journey into Mystery number 83 in June of 1962. Hold on one second. Let me get the date correctly. On June 5th, 1962. And is one of the most famous and iconic members of the Avengers, as well as one of its original founding members, along with the Hulk, Iron Man, Janet Van Dyne, Hank Pym's ex-wife known as the Wasp, as well as Hank Pym himself. Thor in the Marvel Comics franchise, more specifically in the main Marvel Comics franchise, Thor is the son of Odin and the Greek Titaness of Earth, Jord, aka Gaia. So therefore, in the main Marvel Comics franchise, Thor is not only half Norse, but also half Greek. And because of that, Hercules is his cousin. Let me make sure I get that crap correctly. Okay, I am wrong. Hercules is not his cousin, but Zeus is supposedly his great nephew. Anyway, the reason why Odin got involved with Gaia was because he wanted to have a son that would one day become greater and more powerful than himself. So he decided to hook up with the Greek Titaness of Earth, and through their union gave birth to Thor. Now, for many years, for his entire career on Asgard, Thor is hailed as Asgard's greatest and fiercest warrior. But there came a time where Thor became too proud and arrogant. So his father Odin said, you know what, I need to teach this boy some humility. So he turned him into a mortal man with a disability named Donald Blake, took away his hammer, and bestowed upon the legendary and iconic incantation that we all know and love today. Whoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor. And through his time on Earth, Thor learned what it was like to be weak and not so powerful, and that made him humble. That gave him a lot of degree of humility. One day, in this Donald Blake form, he rediscovered his hammer, which was disguised as a regular wooden stick. And when he tapped it against one of the rocky caverns he discovered it, it transformed him back into Thor. Also, that Thor would go on many adventures over the years, as I said, including the day where he, along with the Hulk, Iron Man, Hank Pym, and his ex-wife Janet Van Dyne, would go on to find the event, discover, and form one of the most beloved superhero teams of all time in the Avengers. Thor would have many different Avengers of his own, including encountering Beta Ray Bill, clashes with Hercules, and so forth. Recently Thor is battling the Utgard gods in Al Ewing's supposedly highly acclaimed, highly regarded Immortal Thor series, which I heard was really damn good. I may check that out when I get the chance. But with that being said, though, now let's get Thor at this point in time is not due to his father Odin dying at the hands of the God of Hammers during the Shaken Throne story arc. Thor is not only the new All-Father of Asgard, but due to his father Odin reviewing him and giving him full access to the Odin Force, Thor is now the Skyfather of Asgard, the go-to Skyfather of Asgard. And so yeah, Thor's pretty interesting character in my opinion. Now let's get into his powers and abilities as well as his equipment. Thor has, due to his Asgardian Elder God hybridized physiology, Thor is one of the physically strongest and most powerful beings in the Marvel multiverse and omniverse. His powers and abilities are far more developed than the majority of his race. Of course, now being the entirety of his race, now that his father Odin is now deceased. Until Marvel eventually brings him back, but time will tell. Thor possesses immense superhuman strength, or as the comics calls it, godly or godlike strength, according to the cosmic being Eternity. Thor, an unrestrained Thor, not possessed by Warrior's Madness, which I'll talk about later on. I'm sorry, I lost a little train of thought right there. Possesses a huge threat to a large fragment of the cosmos. Possesses a threat to a large fragment of the entity, to Eternity himself. An insane Thor, unrestrained, not under Warrior's Madness, was regarded by Eternity himself as a large threat to a large fragment of the cosmic entity. This alone puts Thor at the multi-galaxy level. Thor possesses raw physical strength comparable to that of his friend Hercules, his friend as well as constant sparring partner, the Hulk, Beta Ray Bill, the Silver Surfer, Gladiator, Calark, and so on and so forth. A few examples of Thor immense strength was that he overwhelmed a foe that is supposed to be near the Hulk in strength, towing the island Hydra base into the New York harbor, held up the George Washington Bridge long enough for damage control to fix it, resisted the gravity of a neutron star, generated enough force to destroy planets as a side effect of him fighting. When Thor cuts loose, he's able to unearth an unfathomable hidden power to defeat Phosphorus Duroc, who has overpowered him and the Silver Surfer together. He has even carried the Midgard Serpent, which was accompanying the incredible distance between Earth and Asgard, a distance described in the comics itself as equivalent to endless galaxies away. He was able to wound a moderately fed Galactus who was in telepathic battle with his father by crashing into his helmet and breaking his armor. Thor has even shattered the root of the Yggdrasil, I can't even pronounce it, of the Yggdrasil tree, which spans space-time and holds up 10 realms. He has even said that he can sustain the weight of 20 freaking planets. He's even been stated to have overpowered infinite gravity, whatever the hell that means. He, alongside Beta Ray Bill, destroyed Surtur's solar system-sized dimensional portal And he even moved the World Engine, which held the World Tree, which contains 9 universal space-time continuums. And some of the sub, he even, after negating the Juggernaut's mystical defenses, he was able to render the Juggernaut nearly unconscious. That's pretty damn ridiculous. Now, Thor has ridiculous levels of invulnerability. It's nearly impossible for him to become drunk. He could take a punch from the Hulk. He could take blasts from his father Odin as well as the Celestials. He was able to withstand temperatures equivalent, if not greater than that of the sun. He does not require air. He's been able to withstand planet-shattering attacks. Let's see. He withstood blasts from the powerful Asgardian destroyer armor. He's even have immunity to lead and radiation poisoning, which I find to be pretty impressive. He even withstood the explosion of a solar system-sized ship. That's pretty damn impressive. Excuse me, I'm so sorry about this. Well, not as fast as Quicksilver. He does allow to run at superhuman speeds far greater than the finest human athlete. He can run fast enough, greater than that the human eyes can see. He can create trenches before his teammates, including superhuman fast beings like Quicksilver, could react. Hela, the goddess of death herself, has stated that he moves in speeds beyond comprehension and moves as fast as the space winds, light and lightning he commands, and can reach the speed of their lightning. Superhuman godlike stamina. His advanced musculature is more beyond efficient than a human being as well as other Asgardians, as well as sustain himself almost indefinitely without exhaustion. He was capable of fighting for 2 years straight without food or sleep. If he uses the Belt of Strength, which I think is... Megan Yord, and which doubles his stamina, but to incalculable levels. When he's in the state of warrior's madness, it also increases tenfold. However, his stamina allowed him to fight an entire Frost Giant army for 9 months straight without sustenance or rest. That's crazy. He has superhuman agility, which is far beyond those of the finest human athlete. He has superhuman reflexes. He can react at superhuman that exceed the equivalent of several times the speed of sound. Thor even possesses keen senses, allowing him to track objects traveling faster than the speed of light. Even without his trusty hammer Mjolnir, Thor has vast energy manipulation, which is supposedly rivaling that of the Silver Surfer. Thor has the ability to manipulate vast amounts of energy using Mjolnir. He can channel the storm's energy into blast so powerful to destroy secondary adamantium. Thor can channel his godly energies through Mjolnir, creating rays power enough to kill even immortals. He has weather control, which obviously he's the god of thunder and all that. He can control the elements of storms both with and without Mjolnir. He can summon and control the near infinite powers of the storm, causing rain, wind, thunder, and lightning. He also has the power to create unnatural weather like fire, rain as well. Thor has displayed on numerous occasions the ability to create electrical storms, hurricanes, winds, tornadoes, tidal waves, blizzards, as well as earthquakes that have been shown to run across an entire planet. Thor has the ability to affect the weather on a planetary-wide scale. Thor is able to stop the weather, any weather conditions he creates. He can also discharge lightning bolts from his hands that are lethal and of raw power, also engulfing his hands and like to amp his punches. Even as a baby, he has created storms powerful enough to shake all of Yggdrasil and the realms and its branches. He has superhuman longevity, even though they're not truly immortal. It's been a misconception that they're not truly immortal. They do age, but at a rate so slow that they are beings that they give the appearance of immortality. They are in turn by the golden apples of Idun. They have superhuman dense tissue. uh, which is 3 times denser than human tissue. As I said before, he has superhuman enhanced senses. He can see objects as far as the edge of the solar system, allow him to track objects traveling faster than light. Hear cries from the other side of the planet. He has rapid healing factor. It's not as potent or as powerful as characters like the Hulk or Wolverine, but he can heal injuries at a much faster rate than a normal human being could. He was able to regenerate his teeth, hair, eyes, and even destroy flesh and broken limbs for a short time. Similar to Superman, he has a super breath, although he doesn't have a freeze breath. He can use his breath to create hurricane force winds. He can fly with and without Mjolnir. Although his top speed is unknown, it is suggested he can go beyond ultrasonic limits. He has super enhanced vocal cords. His vocal cords are enhanced enough to allow him to throw his voice in a superhuman degree. He has the all-speak, meaning he can communicate all languages of the 10 realms, Earth dialects, and even various alien dialects. He has telepathy, meaning he can telepathy. He was able to establish a link with his father and communicate with him. Now, as I said before, Thor has regained and has regained the Odin Force through his father Odin, and eventually through Odin's sacrifice to the hands of the God of Hammers. Odin gave Thor full access to its power. For example, with the Odin Force, Thor has physical augmentation. The Odin Force dramatically enhances Thor's strength to the point where he once damaged Captain America's shield by striking it. Teleportation, he once teleported Asgard to the skies above New York City. A force field, he was able to contain a nuclear missile explosion. Portal creation, time manipulation, healing, power absorption, for example. He was able to drain Zeus's power, which took place during the Immortal Thor series, and add it to its own. Now, much like his father Odin, after a significant period of time, Thor has to enter a state of sleep called the Odin sleep, but in this case, the Thor sleep. If Thor uses the Odin Force, or in this case, the Thor Force too greatly or too fast, he needs to replenish his energies by entering the Thor sleep. There is no definite time frame as to when he has to enter the Thor sleep or how long he has to be in it. Having learned from his father's past experience of being vulnerable while in the Odin sleep, Thor used a casket made by Odin's metalsmith Valky. Whatever the hell that is. The casket contains enchantments that create a state between life and death to reduce the time required for the Thor sleep. Once it's been closed from within, it cannot be broken by any known force to man or god. It can only be opened from the inside. While asleep in the casket, in the state between life and death, Thor's mortal persona Donald Blake temporarily separates him until he awakes again. Now, he also has cosmic pyrokinesis. Thor was as an infant, he was killed by the king of the frost giants, Loki. But the Phoenix Force resurrected him, and through his resurrection, Thor gained the ability to generate cosmic flames that he can wield in a similar form to his lightning, and as a concentrated energy beam. He also has geokinesis. Due to his inheritance as a biological child of the elder goddess Gaia, Thor demonstrated the ability to manipulate the earth as he showcased during his duel against the God of Hammers. He demonstrated the ability to combine his earth control and his energy manipulation to create an energy tornado that didn't harm his allies and only damaged the God of Hammers. It was described as impenetrable by Reed Richards, as he stated that he didn't think there would be enough of force on Earth capable of breaking through its dense field. Here are his abilities. Master Combatant. Thor is one of the finest warriors in the entire Marvel Universe. Even when he was stripped of his powers, he was able to defeat a pack of fodder and save Captain America with his own shield and win Mjolnir simultaneously. Thor was able to fight Hercules, but only shown to be a bit below in terms of skill. Thor generally prefers a brawling type techniques when fighting, such as Gladiator, Juggernaut, and Abomination. Despite being a skilled hand-to-hand combatant, Thor's greatest feats of skill comes from his expertise in weapons. He is easily one of the greatest and most versatile weapon experts in the entire Marvel Universe. He is usually seen wielding his hammer, but also greatly dexterity using weapons such as an axe, sword, bow and arrow, shields, and clubs. Outside of Mjolnir, Thor's most commonly used weapon is the Jawbone axe, which he obtained before Mjolnir. Thor has above average intelligence and also retains his medical knowledge of Donald Blake. He's an expert strategist due to centuries of combat training and expertise. He has telepathic immunity. Thor has the ability to resist the influence of powerful beings. He resisted a mind thrust by the Vigilance, the magical music of Ares, a mental attack from Glory, Morgana Le Fay's attempt to dominate his mind, the power of the Eye of Horus, and the mind blast of the Man-Beast. After Thor's rebirth, he used Mjolnir to recreate diplomatic immunity. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. Diplomatic immunity. After Thor's rebirth, he used Mjolnir to recreate Asgard on Earth in Oklahoma. At this time, Iron Man was head of S.H.I.E.L.D. and confronted Thor about bringing Asgard to U.S. territory. After Thor kicked Iron Man's ass, I'm just paraphrasing here, Stark suggested that Asgard be treated as a foreign embassy and with its citizens full diplomatic privileges, to which Thor agrees. Now, even though this is one of Thor's weaknesses, this also comes a part of his power set, Warrior's Madness. This is a form of Berserker Rage, as I like to call it. It's considered to be forbidden, illegal, unlawful on Asgard. Under this state, Thor's strength and his stamina I'm sorry, let me repeat myself. Warrior's Madness is a Berserker Rage-like state that increases Thor's immense strength and stamina tenfold. Therefore, it also threatens Thor's sanity, as well as his reasoning. So there we go. Now on to his most famous and iconic weapon, Mjolnir. Mjolnir is one of the most famous and iconic weapons in all of Marvel Comics. It is a symbolic weapon of Thor, a hammer forged from Uru metal whose chief properties are durability and ability to maintain enchantment and absorb energies. According to Odin himself, Uru is said to be stronger and more durable than the indestructible metal adamantium. Mjolnir resembles more of a short-handled metal than a traditional warhammer. Mjolnir itself is extremely durable and combined with the very skin replaced by it is even harder. It has survived heat as an extreme of the sun and blasts powerful enough to destroy planets. Let's start off with the Worthiness enchantment. The Worthiness enchantment prevents Mjolnir from being wielded by anyone save those who have been found worthy. Thus far, this includes Thor himself, Red Norval, Beta Ray Bill, and Captain America. To anyone else, Mjolnir cannot be lifted from the ground nor wrestled from Thor's grasp. Those who are deemed worthy are able to wield Thor's powers. Captain America Steve Rogers said, "I've never wielded such limitless power before. It's almost intoxicating." However, there came a point where during the original Sin storyline, which I really didn't care for, Nick Fury told him an undisclosed secret. He lost his ability to wield Mjolnir. After Mjolnir was reforged, Thor became worthy again after recognizing the struggle to become worthy allowed him to become worthy again. Transformation. Thor was living on Earth under immortal gods. He could use Mjolnir to transform from his Donald Blake persona into Thor and vice versa. Thor lost its enchantment when transferred to Beta Ray Bill's hammer, Stormbreaker. However, Odin literally permanently separated the two personas. A mystical link. Mjolnir obeys Thor's command as if it were alive, and if Thor's will is strong enough, the hammer can pass through any bear to reach him, should he so chooses. Mjolnir even returns to Thor even when his mortal persona is Jake Olsen. Mjolnir can also transform Thor into his civilian guises. When Thor's civilian, the hammer most often becomes an old wooden cane. While employing a mortal guise, Thor would transform back into his mortal form if he was separated from Mjolnir for more than 60 seconds. Weather control, which I discussed before. Can tell and control the elements: storm, rain, wind, thunder, ice, snow, and so much more. Uh, Mjolnir grants him the ability of flight. While in Earth's atmosphere, Thor generally flies around Mach 32 and can change course in mid-flight. He can hover in midair with the winds like storm. And here comes the good parts. The God Blast. This is like probably Thor's most powerful attack, if I'm brutally honest. Excuse me, I'm so sorry for burping, everybody. He can even use his attack without Mjolnir, by the way. God Blast is Thor's most powerful attack. He is capable of channeling different amounts of his godly energies into a combination within the mystical properties of Mjolnir or without Mjolnir. These energies can be channeled through his hammer for a single massive beam attack known as the God Blast, which is even able to kill immortals. Thor used the God Blast to destroy the brain dome of the mighty celestial Exeter. To do it, Thor reinforced Mjolnir with the Belt of Strength, which doubles his fortification and durability. Mjolnir shattered from the amount of power Thor channeled. Thor used the God Blast to defeat Surtur and Ymir. The God Blast is so immensely powerful and destructive that it's capable of causing such a pain and degree to a starving Galactus that he was forced to flee for his life. The God Blast, was able to stop the Juggernaut Cain Marko while in motion and was able to push him back, let him fall into a hole. The God Blast was also able to knock down the Sky Mother Magician Zella, who absorbed the Odin Force. Thor can also send the God Blast to the core of Ego, the living planet, and Alter Ego, and render them both comatose. So yeah, there's that. Anti-Force. Thor is capable of producing an indescribable amount of energy blast known as Anti-Force, which is capable of annihilating entire planets. He was able to defeat Mangok, who was way more powerful than Thor, by shooting him with the Anti-Force with Mjolnir inside his mouth. Thermal Blast. Thor has the ability to produce a universe-shaking thermal blast capable of decimating even entire planets and even beings such as Ego, the living planet. Energy absorption and redirection. Thor is able to use Mjolnir to absorb energy blasts directed towards him as means of attack. Once the energy is absorbed, Thor can redirect it back, amplified towards the source. Thor used Mjolnir to absorb the Silver Surfer's cosmic blast, radioactive energy, and magnetism, such as Magneto's personal magnetic field. Mjolnir has even managed to redirect the source, the energy of the Null Bomb, which was created to destroy all life in the Black Galaxy, the blast of which was shown powerful enough to reignite a dying star. It has also absorbed mystical energy, such as Pluto's mystic flame. The hammer was even able to absorb a portion of mystic energies granted from every god pantheon on Earth. Matter manipulation. By spinning Mjolnir in a precise manner at psychoelectronic speeds, Thor can manipulate matter from a molecular level to a vast scale, which even allows him to create other configurations and even allow him to transmutate the elements themselves. This ability was evident when he transmuted the absorbing man's wood and iron body into the gas helium. Electromagnetic spectrum manipulation. Thor was able to absorb and manipulate the electromagnetic energies of the celestial mothership. Cosmic energy. Thor's Mjolnir allows Thor to produce and control cosmic energy to an unknown limit for a variety of purposes. Energy sensing. Mjolnir can detect practically all types of energy. It reacts particularly strong enough to evil, psychic energy, supernatural energy as well. Mjolnir can also track down the energy pattern of someone in hiding, detect any Asgardian aura by their electron discharge, and can track and sense the energy radiating from mystical objects. Netherworld power. Mjolnir can tap into the power of the Netherworld, the dark dimension, if Thor chooses to. Teleportation. By grasping Mjolnir by the leather thong and rapidly swirling it, Thor can channel energies for the purpose of opening gateways through means of a vortex. And in this vortex, time has no meaning, which means he and others can pass through to the destination instantaneously. He can open gateways, which allows him to travel across locations no matter how great the distances within moments or even across entire dimensions. As he does when he travels from Asgard to Earth and vice versa. Thor has used Mjolnir to rip the fabric of the universe, to send Ymir and Surtur, to the Death Dimension, and send an entire population to Limbo. Thor can use Mjolnir to travel through portals anywhere within the same dimension. Transmigration of souls. Thor's hammer has the ability to manipulate souls. Life force absorption. Thor has used the ability on the supervillain the Present, who was forced to surrender to prevent himself from being reduced to a lifeless husk. Illusion detection. Mjolnir can distinguish images, holograms, and different illusions from reality. Thor once commanded Mjolnir to strike the demon lord Mephisto, who was hiding among false images of himself. Now let's see, what else did I miss? Resurrection. Thor has displayed the ability to resurrect beings that have been killed, though how long a period can pass to the death and point at which Thor's intended to resurrect for the process to be successful. Thor was shown to have the ability to resurrect the gods of Asgard, but failed to resurrect the soul of his fallen comrade Captain America. Thor was a god. He does not have the ability to resurrect whomever he wants at any point. Only beings such as Galactus have shown the ability to resurrect the lives of those who have been long dead, and even his powers have limits in this field. Negation of mystical energy. Thor used his ability when he was fighting the Juggernaut, in which he threw his hammer around the area in which they were fighting, which stripped powerful Juggernaut of his immortality as well as his ability to be an immovable object. Yeah, he's shown the ability to negate mystical energy within a certain area, as he did against battle against Juggernaut. He has the ability to reverse energy, mind manipulation, mind manipulation. He can erase someone's memory or put them to sleep. His hammer can heal people, can speed up the healing. He has anti-gravity, which can physically incapacitate his opponent and send them where they came from, and then the ability to control the position of beings ignoring gravity. Invisibility and intangibility. Thor's hammer has been shown to make him either himself or others completely invisible or intangible. This ability has also the opposite effect, as it can show to disrupt the phasing abilities of beings such as Shadow, Cat, and Vision. The disruption effects, however, were not permanent and both recovered. Force field creation. Mjolnir has given Thor the ability to create powerful barriers that have been seen to be impenetrable. This has given Thor the ability to contain powerful explosions. Let's see what else. That's all. And he also has this weapon during the Immortal Thor series called Tormund, which is an Hammer-Hax hybrid, and it's actually based. It has similar abilities to that of Mjolnir. However, it can only be wielded by those who are wise, who are deemed wise. I'm not super from. I'll be right with you, Boomtown. So anyway, for those of you who want to know, so basically we have two characters who are crazy powerful, right? Orion, one of Darkseid's sons, and Thor, one of the most powerful heroes in the Marvel Universe. Yes, the hammer does determine who is wise enough. Yes, that is correct, Boomtown. Tormund does determine who is wise. Similar to that of Mjolnir. Anyway, as I was saying, Orion and Thor both possess immense superhuman strength, even in their base state, immense levels of near invulnerability, pretty impressive level of superhuman speed, agility, and reflexes, enhanced senses, all that good. So basically, in their base form, they're extremely powerful. But now you got the Astral Force versus the Odin Force, and then of course you got Orion and Thor's Berserker Rage like stage, apocalyptic activism for Orion and Warrior's Madness for Thor. So basically, both of these characters can basically, if both of these characters were bloodlusted and batshit crazy, they can destroy a shit ton of planets. Hold on one second. So anyway, so this is a matchup that I think it's kind of like one of those matchups that both these characters are. If you look at their power, their level of power, they're definitely comparable to one another. But to me, this is going to come down to which one's going to underestimate the other, which one's going to make the biggest mistake. And honestly, even though I mentioned Tormund in this video, I'm going to stick to Thor using Mjolnir. I know I mentioned Tormund. I just thought it was a cool thing, but let's stick to Mjolnir. We all know Mjolnir is one of the most badass. I mean, we all wished when we were kids, we all wish we would run around as Thor just bashing the shit out of stuff. It was awesome, right? And Orion obviously has his astral horn. He has this cool looking helmet, and he's known as this badass, this fierce form, but also has a good heart to him. But unfortunately, has a hard time controlling his berserker rage from an apocalyptic activism, which is kind of like his mutation in a sense. And this is a toss-up to me. Both these guys are great fighters. They're great warriors. They're great strategist tacticians. They're not geniuses, but they're no dummies either. I don't know. I think it's going to come down to the Odin Force versus the Astral Force. But let me know what you guys think. Who comes out on top in this one? Orion from DC Comics or Thor from Marvel Comics? I hope you guys enjoyed this versus video. And if you want, please hit that subscribe button. And also, if you're gonna voice your opinion on who's gonna win in these fights, be civil about it. Peace.